Hi, welcome to the Western Piedmont Community College webinar series all about using LinkedIn. Today's session is about building a professional and relevant or meaningful LinkedIn network. For those who've never met me, I'm Teddy Burriss. I'm a LinkedIn strategist.
Motion detected at the front door.
So I put this slide in here because it's important for us to remember that LinkedIn is all about humans connecting with more humans. It's all about people meeting people, people engaging with people. It is not first and foremost about humans connecting with businesses. It's humans connecting with more humans. So I have a lot of ideas that I want to share with you. I'm going to share some specific ones via the slide deck. And then once I get through these talking points, these ideas, then we'll move into LinkedIn and I'll share with you more deliberately about how to network on LinkedIn based on your personal goals, whether it's for business, whether it's for community, whether it's for career, whatever your reason is. And you need to know clearly what your reason is before you start networking on LinkedIn. First of all, here's a really important thought. Don't send a LinkedIn invite to someone on LinkedIn unless you know they're using it. So look at their activity before you send an invite. Because if they haven't been on LinkedIn in months, they're not going to get on LinkedIn and accept your LinkedIn invite. And furthermore, they're never going to see it. And when they do finally get on LinkedIn, your invite's going to be buried down below a bunch of other ones. And so it's really not a productive thing to do to send a LinkedIn invite to someone who's not actively using LinkedIn. Here's a workaround for that. If you're having a conversation with someone, you meet them or you can email them, then let them know that you intend to send them a LinkedIn invite, and that might encourage them to get on LinkedIn and accept it. Don't send a LinkedIn invite to someone who does not know you well or is not clear about your relevance to them. This is sort of like sending a LinkedIn invite to, Schroeder's cat. They don't know you. They don't know who you are. They don't understand what your goal is, how you can help them, your relevance to them. So they're going to see it and they're going to think it's cold calling, and they're likely to hit the ignore button or just simply ignore it. And that doesn't move you forward. So really, if they don't know who you are or they don't know your relevance to them, don't waste your time. When you do send a LinkedIn invite to someone, you want to send it from their LinkedIn profile, because that way you can verify that it's the right person. You can get a little insight into who that person is, maybe something about them that's relevant to you or something about them that is of interest or intriguing, and you could potentially refer to that in your note that you send them when you send them a LinkedIn invite. So always send the invite from the person's LinkedIn profile. Furthermore, I alluded to this. When you do send an invite, you must always include a well-written note. You need to, and you can do that on the desktop pretty easily because most of the connect buttons, specifically from the LinkedIn profile, will include the opportunity to send a note. If you're doing an invite from the mobile, it's important not to click the connect button, but instead, click the three dots on their profile and hit personalized invite. That will allow you to include a personal note when you send them the invitation. Why LinkedIn hides it on the mobile app, I don't know. But again, you should always include the note when you're sending them an invite. Now, if you see somebody on LinkedIn whom you want to connect with, and you don't know them well, they don't know you well, then look and see if you have a mutual connection who may be able to introduce you to that person. It's far more rewarding and successful to ask for an introduction before you send an invite. So if you want to meet me and you don't know me and I don't know you well, but you know Lily Laramie, then maybe ask Lily to send me an email and introduce me to you or introduce you to me, and then follow up with a LinkedIn invite. And you can reference in the message, hey, Teddy, great to meet you. I appreciate Lily introducing us. Look for introductions. It is by far the most successful way to connect with people who are on LinkedIn and actively using it over any other process. Now, let's say you don't know Lily well, but yet you want to connect with me. Then another tactic you could use would be to look for my content. Look for my posts, my articles, my documents, my videos, my content, and consume it, which means at least scan through it quickly, and then engage on it in some meaningful way. Comment on it, reply on a comment. Don't just hit the like button. That's not meaningful. But if you see that I have content out there and you engage on it in some meaningful and relevant way, then I'm likely to see that engagement before I see your invite. And then I'll know just a little bit more about you, so that could help me make a decision to accept your invitation rather than you doing nothing at all. Now, networking on LinkedIn is important, and you need to do it on a regular basis. I actually encourage you to connect with at least one new person every day. You send an invite out to one new person every day, average it out, do 7 of them a week. But I also recommend that you manage these invitations. Don't let them build up and become overwhelming and daunting, where you have too many invites that have come in and now you got a bunch of work to do in one day. Or equally as important, you have a bunch of invites that you sent out and they haven't been accepted. So that can be a tedious task to clear up as well. It takes 3 clicks, which sounds simple, but if you have 50 invites that you sent out that you got to get rid of, now you got 150 clicks to get rid of those invitations. So I recommend that you manage all the invites you sent out, as well as manage all the invites that come into you, so that you keep that list simple and manageable. I say LinkedIn will let you send out around 100 invites a week. Now that's a lot of invitations. That's 5,000 plus a year. Don't do that. Instead, be way more purposeful about who you send LinkedIn invites out to, and really, really intentional. You only want to connect with 2 people. You want to connect with your target audience. These are the people who can help you move your business forward. It may be your client. It may be a hiring manager looking for a job. It may be people that you want to do work with, people you want to learn from. That's your target audience. Be very deliberate about focusing on them. But you also want to look for and connect with influencers. These are the people who can introduce you to your target audience. So focus on those 2 people very deliberately, but don't get to the point where you're sending out, especially on a recurring basis, 10 or 15 a day. That's what's way too many, because first of all, it's not a race, it is a journey. And so you want to come up with a sustainable process that you can do that is not daunting, not overwhelming, and it creates value for you. So, and by the way, there's another process you want to think about as well, or tactic you want to use in this invitation process. And that is, start with people you already know. Start connecting with people that you've met along the way. Your friends, your family, your previous coworkers, your current coworkers, your current clients, your previous clients. I often say, pull out your Rolodex, whatever that is, your list of connections that you might have, email connections or phone connections or your CRM tool, and start there. See who you know today, whom you're not already connected with on LinkedIn, and then look and see if they're using LinkedIn. And if they are, you can send them an invitation with a personal note and say, oh my God, I didn't realize we weren't connected on LinkedIn. Or I hope that you'll want to connect with me on LinkedIn because I love using this business tool. Start where you are today, because the bigger you build your LinkedIn first level network, the easier it is to get introduced to those people that you're not yet connected with who have mutual connections with you, which is referred to as your second level connections. But don't go so fast at this that it becomes overwhelming or daunting, or LinkedIn shuts you down because you violate their rules of sending out too many invites too quickly. And this is important. When you're networking on LinkedIn, you're finding the right people, you're getting introduced to them, you're engaging with them up front, bumping into their content. You send them an invite, they accept the invitation, or they send you an invitation and you accept it. You can't stop there. You have to go to the next step. And the next step is to engage immediately. And this is really important because this is how you create what's referred to as trust, respect, and light. This is how you build your brand. It's that very first step of engagement must be all about the other person, not about you, not about your business, but in fact, all about the other person. So there's a couple ideas to think about in this initial engagement. First of all, there are many different ways you can do this immediate first step. You could do a LinkedIn message. You could look and see if they have a business email address and send them an email message. You could also, which a lot of people don't go to this next level, which I believe is the more powerful level. You could look and see if you have their phone number, or if their phone number is on their LinkedIn profile, or it's on their website or somewhere. And you could actually call them and you could have a voice-to-voice, ear-to-ear conversation. Now think about this for a minute. If the person you connect with is highly relevant to your business goals, highly relevant to your career goals, highly relevant to you in some way or another, don't rely on a LinkedIn message. Go straight to a phone call or at least a business email message. Furthermore, remember earlier statement, make this conversation all about them, not about you. And when you make a phone call and you make the call about that other person, you send an email and you make the email all about that other person and you thank them for the connection, you're building some level of trust and respect, and you're opening the door for a potential next step or next conversation. Now, if you get to that next step, then what you want to do is not ask them if they're interested in your widget or your products or your services. And you don't want to stay in a, just simply in a chatting mode. What I encourage you to do after that initial engagement, when they respond back to you at some point or another, it doesn't need to be immediately, your next step should be some form of an invitation to a conversation. I really encourage, instead of messaging, emailing, calling someone, say, hey, I want to talk with you about my widget. Ask them if they would be open to a conversation so you can get to know each other a little bit more and understand how you could potentially help each other. You don't know they need your products or services. You don't know that they need what you have to offer. So instead of pitching that, invite them to a conversation so you can learn a little bit more about each other and discover what is relevant. Now, there's lots of ways to do that messaging. I'm not going to tell you a specific way because it depends on you, depends on your relationship with that person, depends on your relevance to that person. But it's absolutely all about initial engagement needs to be about them. Second engagement, when that's appropriate for you to have, and you'll know when it's appropriate because they may respond back, or you may wait a little while longer to ask. But the next step should be an invite to a conversation to discover more about each other and how you could potentially help them or they could potentially help you. Immediate engagement is the first really big step after you connect. And I talked about this a little bit. I haven't used this phrase yet, but remember, it's all about networking for mutual benefit. All about two humans connecting and getting into conversations And maybe what you have to offer is of no relevance to them. Maybe it's not important to them. So don't make it all about you. Be willing to understand a little bit more about them. Maybe there's something that you could do to help them that they may benefit from, that may be of no benefit to you, but that is what networking is all about. It's all about being willing to help each other. And along the way, we'll discover ways for us to help each other that may be, financially worthwhile, business, job, or we may discover that we can just be good connections or friends and not do business at all. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because this person that you've connected with on LinkedIn could turn out to be an influencer and could potentially introduce you to someone who truly does need what you have to offer. I've got a few bonus tips before I go into LinkedIn and talk about some of the tactics on LinkedIn. Jeff Young says, remember, if you get what's referred to, I call a naked invite, he calls it a generic invite that doesn't have any message. Go look at their LinkedIn profile. Maybe you'll discover a little bit more about them, so that you can determine whether you should or shouldn't connect. And if you don't discover that, then from the Manage Invitations page, you can actually send them a response back or a message back and ask them, who they are and what is their goal, what's their purpose of connecting. I do that with every single person who sends me an invite that I don't know who they are. Lady Petherick said this: it's not about the number of connections that you have. It's really about the quality of connections. I had a gentleman the other day who I talked with who only has 500 LinkedIn connections, but he knows every single one of them and they know him. And when he's looking for new opportunities or new ideas, he goes through his LinkedIn network and he'll find that person that he wants to connect with. And now, because he has a rich relationship with his LinkedIn network, it's easy for him to get an introduction. And that, for him, he says, is way more valuable than having a big LinkedIn network and hoping that along the way, somebody will discover somebody and reach out to him and say, you need to talk to this person. Now, my network is big. I probably have 15,000 LinkedIn connections. But I'm a little different than most people. Every one of those LinkedIn connections I have engaged with in some way or another. It may not be through LinkedIn. It may not be through email. It may not have been through phone. It may have been a personal face-to-face meeting. But because I have engaged with nearly, I can't say 100%, with nearly all of my LinkedIn connections, it makes my large LinkedIn network very valuable to me. But focus on the relationship, not just the numbers. Greg Crumpton, a client of mine, turned into a good, distant friend. We engage on social media, LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube often. He says this, and I love his style. Don't ask for a purchase order or a sale 22.7 seconds after connecting. That's the worst thing you can do, because that's not what networking is all about. Networking is all about connecting, finding relevance, looking for ways to get into conversations, looking for ways to move the right people into the right business conversation that could turn into a sale. But if you pounce on your network the moment you connect and they're not ready for you, you're going to leave a bad feeling in their minds, and they may not trust and respect you in the future. They may actually unconnect and block you, because that's really the worst way to treat anybody on LinkedIn. Now I'm going to go into LinkedIn. I'm going to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes talking about the LinkedIn search bar, filters, people search on a company page, some tactics about sending a LinkedIn invite, as well as asking for an introduction, and other areas of LinkedIn networking to help you better understand some of these tactics. So here we go. Let's go into there and take a look. So first of all, from LinkedIn homepage that right here is a search bar. So in the search bar, let me show you a little trick. If I just click in it one time and hit enter, then I can click on the word people. And now I can see there are 906 million LinkedIn people. Now that's rounded up, rounded down, or whatever, probably rounded up. Now, interestingly, let me show you something here. I've been tracking this little spreadsheet since I started tracking it in 2018. And now in 2023, there are 906 million. Let me put that today's date in here, because it is 5/2, and I just want to show you something that's pretty important to understand. So you can see so far for many months, you got 4 new members per second, 5.5, almost 6. I got almost 8. Then there was a big drop where LinkedIn peeled off a bunch of members. Then 6, 7, 5, 11, rapid growth LinkedIn members. Then LinkedIn peeled out, deleted 4 million people. Then you can see there was 4, 6, 5. But look here, over the last, this is way more encouraging, and I'm excited to see it. Since 4/19, we've grown from 903 million to 906 million. Now, what does this mean? This means the number's down to 2.7 per second. That tells me that the LinkedIn systems are deleting the fakes fairly quickly, because we've been always around 1 to 2, and you can see it started going up. We've been 1 to 2 new LinkedIn members per second for many, many years. And then it started to explode. And this is exciting for me, because again, it tells me that even though there are a lot of fakes being added to LinkedIn, the system is deleting them pretty quickly. And for anybody who is serious about using LinkedIn, this is important. We don't want these fakes on LinkedIn. And just as with any other social media platform, fake profiles are expected. And there was stories that Twitter said that there were as many as 5% of Twitter users were fake. And if it's 5% on LinkedIn, that means it's 45 million. And I don't want it to be that many, but this is encouraging to see that we're at, almost 2.7 new members per second. Tells me that LinkedIn's doing a better job of dealing with the fakes. Now, so first of all, if you do search for on LinkedIn, if you use the search bar, click here and hit enter, click on people. Now, here's what's important. You need to drive these search results down to what Seth Godin refers to as the smallest viable audience. Let me show you how to do that. First of all, look for something meaningful. Maybe you want to look for project manager. So type in a term that you want to look for. And by the way, if it's 2 words and you want project manager, put quotes around it and we'll get project manager, not project or manager, and then hit enter. Now I just took and drove down 11.7 million. Excuse me, these are LinkedIn members who have the term project manager somewhere in their LinkedIn profile. Now that's a good start, but we can get more purposeful. Let's go a little deeper and show you some other tactics that you're going to want to use. Under connections, you want to look for first level or second and third. Let me tell you why. First level means we're already connected. So the conversation is going to be different with people whom we're already connected with over people that we're not yet connected with. Now, let's focus on second level. Again, second level, we're not connected, but look what happens when I show those results. Second level, these are people who have project manager in their LinkedIn profile somewhere. We're not connected, but we have mutual connections. So this opens the door for me to reach back to, now, by the way, not everybody shows that you have second level connections, but a lot of people do. Now, this gives me the opportunity to reach back to Randy or Natalie and ask for an introduction to Donna. So focus on second level when you want to grow your network. Focus on first level when you want to have a conversation with the people whom you're already connected with that are on LinkedIn. So again, if I'm looking for new people, I'm looking for second level. Now this list is too big still, 174,000 people. It's way too big. By the way, I had 176 and it just switched. Now here's the next thing to do. What you might want to do is focus on a specific region. Maybe I only want to look in North Carolina. Now I'm going to drive that list down to 18,000. Now that's still too big. So look here, I can go to current company if I want, but I can go to all filters, and under all filters, not only can I use North Carolina as a region, I could drive it down if I want to just Raleigh or Greensboro or both. And I could come down here and I can choose an industry and say, I only want project managers who are in the manufacturing industry, who are, based on my selections here, in the Greensboro or the Raleigh region. Now look what happens when I hit show results. So now I have 1,600 people, second level to me, in Raleigh or Greensboro who are in the industry of manufacturing. That's still too big. Let me drive it down one more level. Watch this. Go down to all filters, scroll down on the bottom, and I can put project manager in the title field, and look what happens when I hit show results. 409 people who have project manager somewhere in their profile, second level, Raleigh or Greensboro, in the manufacturing industry, and they have the words project manager, the phrase project manager, in their title field. So this is a much smaller list. It's still a little bit big. Now, what I would encourage you to do, because LinkedIn doesn't have any saved searches, you could bookmark this if you want to. And when you bookmark it, you can put in here some words along the lines of project manager, GSO, RAL for Raleigh, MFG industry, and then you can say second level. And now when you save that, it's going to be coded by the title you put there. So I'm looking for project managers, Greensboro, Raleigh, in the industry of manufacturing, their second level. Now I can bring that up at another time and I can look at it. And more importantly, because I've already done this search, my next search, I would change up second level to third level or not. I could change the location, change the industry, and or change the keywords. That way I don't need to repeat this again anytime soon once I work through this list. Now, one more quick tip. By the way, you're going to want to experiment with this, and you're going to want to experiment words up here in all filters. But one more thing to be aware of. When you build a list like this, you want to scroll through the list and you want to find people and companies and regions and titles that are of interest and relevant to you, or you want to learn more about. Don't click on their name. Repeat, do not click on their name. Instead, right-click and open it in a new tab. And I recommend you scroll all the way through the list and you right-click, open in a new tab, all the individuals that you want to look at more, and then keep your cursor down here and go up to these new tabs and look at this record and make a decision what you want to do with this person. Go to the next one, look at it, make a decision. What do you want to do with it? And go through each one all the way through, make a decision as to what you want to do, whether or not you want to look for an introduction, send them a connect request, simply might want to follow them, whatever it is, maybe engage on their content. And then once you do the actions you want to do, close it down, it'll bring you back to the list and you can go to page 2 and you can repeat these steps. Really want to get efficient and get quickly at doing this. so that you're managing and you're getting through the list that you have in front of you in a timely way. And again, I think 406 is a little bit big. I probably need to drive that down a little bit tighter, maybe only look at Raleigh instead of Raleigh and Greensboro, because now I'm down to 175, and that is actually a workable list. So practice with using LinkedIn search, practice with keywords here. And again, right click, open in a new tab, and you'll become very efficient at using LinkedIn search. So that's LinkedIn search. By the way, if you haven't already discovered this, there's lots of stuff you can look at on LinkedIn, not just people and jobs, but posts and companies and products and services, events, et cetera, et cetera. So experiment with all of them. You may find that there's other things on here for you to look at that could be of relevance to you. Now, something else to pay attention to, if I go to, let me go to IBM, the company. I'm gonna go to the company page, IBM. Okay, and it says company right there, so I know that's the company page. Click on it. Now there's 304,819 employees that work for IBM who have a LinkedIn profile. Okay. Now, and by the way, some of those could be retired and no longer working at LinkedIn, but that's irrelevant. Look what happens when I click on people right here, people. It brings up a tool that is pretty cool and worth learning how to use, because now I'm focused just on IBM employees. So I can type any title, keyword, or school name in here. I can type in project manager. Let me put quotes around it. Project manager, put quotes around that, hit enter. Now that 304,819 just dropped down to 25,992 employees who work for IBM who have project manager in their LinkedIn profile somewhere. Now I can go a little deeper. I can hit show more, and I can hit add right here, and I can type in Raleigh, North Carolina. Select that. Now I just drive that list down further, and I have 163 employees of IBM who are in the Raleigh, North Carolina area who have project manager in their profile somewhere. Now look at these, look at the list that's here, where they live, where they studied. Look at the next page, what they do and what they studied. So I can get just business development. I can get just program manager. I can get just marketing. I can look for people who studied IT integration or agile methodologies. There's one more little section here, hit next. What they studied, wait a minute, what was that? That's what they're skilled at. And on the next page is what they studied and how am I connected. So do I have any first level connections? And I do. I have one employee of IBM who lives in Raleigh. First level means I'm connected to their project manager. If I scroll down below, it's Brandon. So look here, I can get rid of that first level. And I have 163 employees, Raleigh, project manager. Again, they work for IBM because I'm on the IBM company page. And look down below. Here's all the people who meet that criteria. And so I can, from the company page, I can look at these individuals. And when I find somebody with, based on their headline, based on connecting, maybe their title. Now, again, right click, open in a new tab. Maybe I want to look at, Jared, right click, open in a new tab, leave this all right here. Here's Nora, right click. Come on, Teddy. Right click, open in a new tab. Then, just as I showed you before, go look at their profile, decide what you want to do. I can't get introduced because I can't see her connections. I can't engage in her content because she hasn't shared anything in a while. Make a decision what I want to do, close it down, go to the next one. Gerard, I got 7 people who could introduce me to them. I have got some fairly new content that he's posted on here that I could engage on. Make a decision what I want to do it, hit the X, go to the next one, and do the same process. And when I'm done, close this down. It'll bring me back to my list. Just another way to look at LinkedIn members. Rather than use the LinkedIn search tool, I can use the company homepage and I can look at their profiles here and look for ways to connect with them through this page, again, from the company page using these filtering tools. So when I find somebody that I want to connect with on LinkedIn, let me go back here and get rid of project manager. Let me do trainer. And I could then I can come down here and see, here's a bunch of people. I want to find them in the Raleigh area. So I've looked for people at IBM who are in Raleigh, who are a trainer. Let me go and get only second level, because I want to send invites to them. The 7 employees of IBM in Raleigh, second level, who have trainer in their profile. And if I come down here, I can go down and find somebody leading recruitment marketing, principal talent acquisition, technical opportunity manager, campus rep, and higher ed. So maybe Brandy is someone that I want to connect with. So I'm going to right click, open in a new tab, go look at her profile. Then I can see, I know Steve, I know Donnie, and 8 other people. So I could ask for an introduction, come down and see that she has content that's less than 2 weeks old. I could look at that, click on see all activity, and maybe look for a way to engage on her content. Let me see. Let me find her post 2 weeks ago, measuring talent marketing 2 weeks ago, today's environment. I could read this if I want to. I could read this from Ben Phillips on LinkedIn. She shared that, and then read what she shared up here. And then I come down here and I could comment. Look and see what the other comment is first. Ben says, thanks for sharing. So I could comment right here. But one way or another, whether I engage on her content or whether I get introduced, the next step is to hit the connect button. Now, by the way, if the connect button is not there, just like, let me open up Haley over here, her connect button is hidden. So I can see that her connect button is hidden, but if I want to connect with Haley, then I'm going to click on more, and there's the connect button right there. So when I click this connect button, it's almost on its way, has not been sent yet. You can add a note to personalize it, and you absolutely want to add this note, and you want to say something meaningful to Haley. You get 300 characters, so say something really meaningful to Haley, about IBM, about something you discovered about her that's relevant to you. And by the way, don't use connections as a relevance. That's so passe and old school. Make it something meaningful. And then once you type that note, then you can hit the send button. And by the way, one more thing to be aware of: when you send a LinkedIn invite, you are also immediately following that person. That's a part of the LinkedIn Connect process. It will make you a follower first, so that even if they don't accept the invite that you send, you are immediately at that point a follower of this person. And you can always, it'll make it happen automatically, but once you're following, you decide you don't want to follow, you can click again and you can unfollow. So really be deliberate about making sure you use a meaningful invite, a personal note, when you're sending that invite, and know that you're following them once you send them an invitation. And execute, close this down, execute on this, whatever you want to do, close it down. And by the way, one more quick little tip about that may be worth understanding is that sometimes if you, the right answer might be, if you don't know Brandy well, and you don't have good introductions to Brandy, then what you might want to do is simply follow Brandy if she's sharing content. So when you follow her, you're going to be able to get her content. Furthermore, if you really want to be more deliberate about this, not only follow her, but also ring the bell. And when you ring the bell, what that means is that when Brandy posts something on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's going to send you a notification saying that Brandy posted something. Now you can, in pretty short order, you can get to her content, the piece of content that she posted, you can read it and engage on it, and then follow up with the LinkedIn invitations. You don't have to send an invite today. Again, it's not a race. You may just follow her, ring the bell so you can see any content that she posts. See that content when it shows up, engage on it, and then you could potentially follow up with an invite after that. And I'm going to go back to her profile, and I'm going to unring the bell, and I'm going to stop following her because I just wanted to show this to you. I don't want to follow her. When you do find somebody you want to connect with, let's say I want to connect with Anil, I'm going to open in a new profile, open up in a new tab, excuse me. Let's say I really want to connect with this guy. So what I'm going to do is go to one of these 7, 8, 9 people, maybe Peter Metzer, because I just talked to him a couple of days ago. And I'm going to ask Peter, I'm going to call him up on the phone. That's my ideal way to do it. Or use a LinkedIn, use an email or a LinkedIn message if I have a good relationship with that person. And I'm going to ask 2 questions before I ask them to do something. Here's the 2 questions I'm going to ask. Question number 1 is, hey, Peter, do you know Anil well? Period. Question number 2 is also, do you think Anil is the right person for me to connect with in context to what I do, or in context to, and now I have to define the reason I want to connect with Anil. Let's say I want to learn more about the higher education coaches. Say I want to learn more about something else that he does. Then I need to ask Peter in this case, the second question is, do you think Anil is the right person for me to connect with in context to X? Then my next paragraph, this has just been probably 2 sentences. My next paragraph is, if so, which to me assumes the answer is yes to both. If so, would you do me a favor and send Anil an email, copy me on the message, and introduce me to Anil so I can have the conversation about X, which I previously defined. Or maybe it's just, would you introduce me to Anil so I can connect with him on LinkedIn? Whatever your reason is, but be clear about it, be transparent about it, so that in this case, Peter is going to know the best way to introduce me to Anil. Now, once that email is sent, I don't necessarily, first of all, once it is sent, I'm going to reply back to the email. I'm going to reply all so that Anil sees me engaging with Peter. I'm going to thank Peter for the introduction. Then I'm going to turn the conversation over to Anil. I'm say, hi, Anil. I appreciate Peter introducing us. I'm going to look for you on LinkedIn and send you an invite to connect. Now, here's where my next statement could be my transparent, clear, no smoke and mirrors statement. Anil, the reason I want to connect is this. I'd like to learn more about higher education, or you may have some information that could be beneficial to me. And I'd appreciate if you have the ability for us to have a quick chat. I'm not going to ask him to engage with me on LinkedIn. I'm not going to ask him to engage with me via email. I'm going to invite Anil, because Peter introduced me to him. I'm going to invite Anil to a phone conversation or a Zoom conversation. And my messaging in this response back, besides thanking Peter, is also going to invite Anil to that conversation and ask him if he's open to the call. Now, it isn't always going to work, but what I have discovered is that when I am that transparent with someone who is relevant to me, if they have some interest in what I do, they're likely to say yes. And if they say no, I'm okay with that, because that just means today they are not interested in what I do. And I put that word today in front of it, because if I'm intentionally reaching out to people who are relevant to me, then I'm okay with today they're not interested, but maybe tomorrow they will be. And over the years I've been doing this, it works that way. Today, Anil may not be interested in a conversation with Teddy. Tomorrow might be a different situation. That happens often for me, and I'm good with that. So ask for those introductions as often as you can. It's going to make your LinkedIn networking way more successful. Now, another few ideas about LinkedIn networking that's important to understand is you want to pay attention to, here's where I was talking about my invites. Here's invites that I've received. Here's see where it says see all 14? That's going to take me to the manage invitations page. This is where not only could I hit the ignore or the accept button, but you see Razel did not send me a message. So I use the message button to message him and say, hey, Razel, thanks for the invite. I'm all about teaching people LinkedIn as a business tool. How could I help you? Now, it turns out he wants to sell me his wares. And he came at it a little too quick. And so I'm not going to accept his invite because, first of all, I don't need someone to manage my social media. If I can't manage my own, I can't help others. And so he's coming at it the wrong way. But the point is, I could send him a message, and I did send him a message. He's already replied back saying he's looking for business. And so I've got to respond to him accordingly. Now, my response to him is very clear. I'm transparent. Razel, thanks for the idea. Thanks for the thought. This is not something I need. And I'm going to invite him to follow me because on LinkedIn, I share content about using LinkedIn as a business tool, and he may find that useful. For you, you may simply hit the ignore button, and that's absolutely a fine, acceptable, appropriate action for you to do. It is not going to send a message back to Razel saying you hit the ignore button. It's simply going to ignore it, and he is going to see eventually where he's second level. In this case, I think he's second level to me. He's going to see that he is still second level, and he's going to know I have not accepted his invite. Now, is he going to see that soon, or does he care about it? Probably not. If he is overly concerned about connecting with someone who is not relevant to him, then I would message them back and go simply, Razel, what you have to offer is not relevant to me. And my words are this: I wish you all the best in your endeavors. So be purposeful about managing this, and you do not need to accept an invite just because it was sent to you. It's absolutely, again, appropriate and acceptable for you to hit the ignore button when you should. On the other side of this manage invitations page is the invites that I have sent out. You can see I've sent out 23 people invites. I've got 60 page follow invites. So I often go to the bottom of the list. If it's more than a month old, typically if it's more than a month old, I'm going to hit the withdrawal button. But when you hit that withdrawal button, be aware of the fact that what it's going to do, I'm trying to remember if I want to keep this connection or not, it's going to take 3 steps. I'm going to hit withdraw, I'm going to hit OK, and then down here is going to be a button that says, you close out the messaging where it says it withdrawed it. So it's going to be 3 clicks. If you got a lot to do, let me give you a quick little tip, do it all in the middle of the screen. Because when you do it here, it makes it really way easier to hit the withdrawal, and then you can come down later when you're done and hit all of these and close all these windows down here. All right. Couple little tips. Let me look here. What did I miss? I talked about bumping into people. Again, I just to show it to you, if I want to, let's go look right here. And so let's say I want to engage with Anil. This bumping in is going to show all their content. I'm going to look for his article. Does he have an article? Yeah, that's doesn't tell me how old it is. AI-based news. Let's go look at that. And it's 2 years old. And it's really ugly, but I could come down here, engage, and be the only person that's engaged on this content that's over 3 years old. Yeah, 3 years old. I don't go back that far. I typically want to stay in the less than a month old. So you can see 2 weeks ago he posted this where he reshared somebody else's content. Happens to be his son about to embark on an exciting journey. Let me share with you something really impactful. When you engage on someone's relevant yet personal content, that is a far more meaningful way to engage because when you engage at this level, and again, on their personal content, that means way more to them than when you engage on their business content. But it has to be relevant and personal, not just personal. And he's going to go to UNC Chapel Hill, where I have a family who's going there. One of my granddaughters is at that school. So I could engage with him in a meaningful way here, because I can have relevance there, and I could read what his son says and look for some level of relevance here. And again, come down and engage with a comment, not a like and not a repost. So. Networking on LinkedIn is an important practice. You need to build a LinkedIn network that is highly relevant to you, highly relevant to your business goals or your career goals. I don't want to tell you to build a huge LinkedIn network. I want to tell you to keep building your network every day, because it's not a matter of how big it is. It's a matter of connecting with that next person who could be someone who is highly relevant to you, highly relevant, again, to your business or career goals. It takes time to learn how to do it efficiently. It takes time to learn how to vet the LinkedIn invites that you get, accept the ones that are meaningful and relevant. It takes time to learn the right words for you when you send a personal invite. But I'm here to tell you, one of the most important assets I have in my life is my network, which includes my LinkedIn network. So build a professional LinkedIn network, and you'll create far more value than simply connecting with LinkedIn people on LinkedIn and hoping and praying something comes your way. Hey, I'm Teddy. I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. Thank you for coming to this Western Piedmont Community College webinar. There are more that we have scheduled to do. There are a lot of other conversations that you may want to look at that come from Western Piedmont Community College Small Business Center. Go look at their website and find other courses. We produce this content to help you. And if there's anything I can do to help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly, or reach out to Lily Laramie through the Western Piedmont Community College Small Business Center. Thank you very much for attending. I hope this has been very helpful for you.